everybody, and welcome to Boxy Banter. I'm your host, Billy Ballas, and joining me today is our very multi-talented friend. He's the biggest rock star in the South Bay. He's a writer, he's a performer, he's a teacher, he's leading the youth, a longtime baseball coach, player, fan, so great perspective of baseball. And welcome back to the show, Terry DeWan.
You forgot fan of the podcast.
Well,
What's up, Billy?
Guest several times on the podcast, so we're glad to have you back on the show.
Thanks, man. That's a wonderful introduction. I don't know that I deserve that.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And, you were here for the first few episodes when we got started there in the NL East, talking about all these teams and these quarter-century rosters that I've assembled, and we've gotten through those all, and now we've got some wrap-up discussions here. But before we get into that, I do have a trivia question for you. Every episode I've got a trivia question, and the last episode was on the Yankees, and I've yet to give the answer to that trivia question. So I'm sorry I got to throw this in your face as a Mets fan. And the Yankees, obviously, we all know that they've had a lot of success in this past quarter century. So the trivia question was, who were the World Series MVPs for the Yankees in this time period? So they won the World Series in 96, 98, 99, 2000, and 09. So can you name any of the World Series MVPs?
Yes. Jeter in 2000, because that was against the Mets. Am I right about that one?
You are, and sorry if we're putting any old wounds on that one.
That's all right.
So yeah, that one is correct. Jeter did win it in 2000.
Okay, and then I think I can get one more of these. Brocious in 98?
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
and that's because that's the Padres series,
right?
Okay, yeah, those I remember. The other ones I would just be wild guessing, and I don't think I can get.
96, Wetland won it.
Oh, that's right. I would have guessed Leyritz, but that's only because I remember Leyritz getting that pivotal home run against Wohlers when they're down 2-0, and he hits the bomb, turns that series around. Yeah.
So then Brocious, as you mentioned, won in 98. That was correct. Mariano in 99, so we got another reliever.
Okay.
Jeter, as you got correct, 2000. And then 09, Hideki Matsui.
Oh, okay.
So that wraps up our trivia, which brings us to, a little project that I've been looking forward to. So, I've had all these rosters. And Terry, are you familiar with the program Out of the Park Baseball?
Not necessarily.
I never really knew about it. And then, last year, March of 2019, when the world shut down and there was a huge void, Baseball Reference actually used Out of the Park Baseball to simulate, the 2020, March 2020. Did I say 2019? March 2020. So they use Out of the Park Baseball to simulate the season, and it's a very powerful computer program that has all kinds of things to input and control. You can be the manager, and you can call pitch by pitch and call plays and all that, or you can be a GM, you can be the commissioner, you can set up the league however you want. I think they've got like every professional team player going back to the early 1900s. They've got Japanese teams. There might be Negro League teams, all kinds of stuff. And so I thought it'd be fun to recreate all of my rosters in Out of the Park Baseball, because you can get to a specific year of the players and put them on the teams, and then boom, simulate the season out. So that's what I did, and so we're here to kind of discuss how that simulation can go out. So what do you think? Sound like a good time?
Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm anxious to see if I can predict some things here and how it's all going to play out.
Yeah. So, today we'll start with our predictions, and later on we can kind of simulate it out and play it out and discuss that, because in each episode, it was pretty much a celebration of the team and highlighting the highs and, postseason appearances and good players and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of each episode, I would have to give a grade out to the team. And I tried to balance it out, but it was an inexact science in terms of giving out a grade. And some people, my grades did not match up with that of my guests because, they may be looking at their team through rose-colored glasses a little bit and maybe grade a little bit higher than mine. So I was criticized a little bit on some of my grades, just looking at it, I gave out, there were 4 A's, then one of them was on the border between an A minus, B plus, so 4.5, and then 8.5 B's, 9.5 C's, 4.5 D's. There's one grade that was on the CD border, and then 3 F's. So I think a fairly normal distribution there, right?
Yeah, it's a nice bell curve coming from a public school educator here. You've got to make sure that it all matches up.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I don't know if we'll see how it plays out, because just discussing it like that is one thing, but now this simulation we can actually see how it'll play out. But before we get into the simulation, I thought it'd be fun if you and I kind of made some predictions on how we think that it'll go.
Absolutely. I've come here. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to predict this 100% down the line. So,
all right. So we will start with, we can start with the NL East. That's where we started the podcast.
East to west kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, sun rises in the east, sets in the west.
There we
the
go.
Best. So, we'll get it going there. How do you think the East will play out here with these rosters?
Okay, if I had to guess, I think the Braves are going to win this division because you've got the 3 Hall of Fame pitchers up front.
Right.
You got Chipper and Andrew and all those guys that they had. That's going to be enough off, but I just think the pitching's going to be too dominant.
Yeah, I think the Braves are definitely the class of the division. I mean, they've got, if you're looking at WAR, which is inexact, but it gives you a nice baseline. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's not the be all end all, but it's a good jumping off point.
Right.
And they do have the most WAR in the division. They got the highest grade that I gave out. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to agree with you there. Braves.
Okay.
That's the top.
I'm going to go a little outside the box for my next pick, okay? Because I could see how you would pick maybe the Nats, because you get the early Expo or the late Expo years, right? So you get like Pedro and you get those guys, Larry Walker, right? And Vlad. You get those guys.
I think Walker, I don't know, I think he was on...
He was too early.
Yeah, he was on Colorado by then.
Okay. I could see that, but my dark horse kind of pick, I'm going with the Phillies in second place. And here's why. I think the Phillies have the pitching, in that they have Halladay and Curt Schilling and Cliff Lee and all those guys like that. Right. And then they've got the boppers, too, with Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins and all those guys, right? Scott Rowland, maybe, So I think that's a nice mesh, and I think that's kind of like my dark horse pick is the Phillies as the second place team. I think I would go Mets third. I think I would go Nats 4, and I think I would go Marlins 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think Marlins are clearly the 5th. Right. The Braves are clearly 1.
Yeah.
I think those other 3, especially the Phillies and the Mets. I mean, again, we just mentioned WAR as that jumping off point. Phillies and Mets their WAR are pretty much identical. Phillies got like a half-run lead.
Okay.
The Nats are a few games behind them.
Okay.
it's funny, even though with that, I gave the Mets a B, the Phillies a B-, but yeah,
I think you're just being kind to me.
Maybe.
That's your way of thanking me for doing the podcast, was giving the Mets a nice grade.
Yeah, although as we get farther along, there were some other friends that I was not so kind to that we'll get to. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's really a coin flip. But yeah, I can get behind that. So we'll go Braves, Phillies, Mets, Nats, Marlins.
Yeah.
Okay, book it. Central. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Central? I mean,
my first thought on the Central is that the St. Louis Cardinals would probably be the first place team.
Makes sense. I mean, they've got.
How many World Series did they win in this run?
Well, they won it in what, 06 and 11.
Yeah. And they went maybe once or twice.
They went in 13. They lost in 13.
Yeah, and they lost in 04 when the Red Sox won their first title.
That's right.
They got steamrolled.
Right. So yeah, so
they've been in the mix.
They've got Yachty behind the dish.
Yeah,
they've got
Pujols
Pete
at first. Yeah.
They got Rowland. You got Carpenter, Wainwright. So
Holiday in the outfield, Edmonds in the outfield. We got some dudes. Right?
Edmonds I've got. Holiday did not make this roster for one reason or another. You got McGuire.
McGuire, yeah, right. Yeah.
70 bombs.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's a good team.
So yeah, I think they're clearly one.
Sure.
And then who do you go? Who do you go to?
Well, goodness gracious, who do I go to?
Because we've got
I guess I like the Brewers too. Because I'm thinking of a mix of guys they had. They've had CC and they had Greinke. Right. And
Yelich they got.
Right, and Braun. For a while there, having some big years.
Mm-hmm.
Prince Fielder popping some home runs over at first base, right?
Yeah. I kind of like I'm torn between them and the Cubs.
Okay.
I think, I could go either way, but I think, the Cubs, they've got, obviously they won the World Series there. Right. They had some good players there. We got Arrieta, Chris Bryant. And they also had, Sosa back in the...
That's true. That's true.
What you like...
I like the Brewers, too.
You like Brewers, too? Cubs, 3?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going...
You're going to flip that?
I'm going, Cubs, 2, Brewers, 3.
Okay.
And then, we got the Reds and the Pirates still.
I
kind of think Reds 4, Pirates 5.
I'd flip that personally.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put the Pirates 4 because I think of like the Andrew McCutchen MVP year.
Right.
I just think the Reds, like outside of Joey Votto, haven't done anything since 1990 when they won the World Series. I hate to be harsh there, but really.
Yeah, they were in the postseason there in 2010.
Okay.
They've got, like Rowland was there, Dunn, Griffey. Not his post Griffey's prime. He was banged up, but he still has some decent.
Okay.
But yeah, what you think Kendall won't let the Pirates finish?
Of course, yeah. There's no way a Tartar lets that happen. So, I'm gonna go. Is that cool? I go Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates, Reds.
Okay, and I'll go. Similar. I'm going Cards, Cubs, Brewers, Reds, Pirates.
Okay.
And then the West, I think. Well, I'll let you start. I'm biased in the West.
Yeah, so I think the Dodgers are going to run away with this.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they've had the dominance as a team, but they've also had some guys flash some really special kind of individual years, from like a Bellinger recently to a Sean Green prior to, and then you have all the Kershaw years on the mound. You have a Greinke, Buehler. You have the closers Gagne and Jansen. There are a lot of guys to pick out a lot of good individual years from. So I think the Dodgers run away with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the 2-hole, I was looking at this and I was thinking, without looking at your rosters, just looking at the team names, there's part of me that thought maybe the Rockies, because they had all of these great seasons. Like these guys have these loaded years at Coors, and that might be enough, but there's just not enough pitching there, right?
Yeah.
So I think you got to go Giants too, just because, 3 World Series during this time, and I know that doesn't count. This is more like an on-paper thing, and the Giants are the antithesis of an on-paper team.
Yeah, and to kind of echo that, one of my guests, Matt Hutchison, who was the guest for the Giants, wanted to point out that WAR cannot measure the heart of a Giant. So, I don't know how out of the
park. That sounds like a children's book.
So I don't know how well out of the park baseball can measure that.
Yeah.
So we'll find out, but yeah, I mean they also have Bonds.
Well, that's true.
Monster Bonds.
That's true. Monster Bonds, but who else? Jeff Kent. I mean, Rich Aurelia.
Yeah. Posey.
Yeah.
They got Lincecum on the hill.
Well, yeah, they have Lincecum, Bumgarner, Kane, those guys. But I mean, I don't know. Do you see my kind of Rockies argument here?
I do. I mean, yeah, they've got some huge guys there offensively, but
there's no pitching, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got Ubaldo, had a great year that year in 2010.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah,
Francis had a year or two. Yeah, they've had guys pop up, but it's hard for me to.
Yeah. I mean, I could really the rest of the West, or at least the next, 2, 3, 4. It could go a number of ways, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised.
Yeah.
But I would think Giants 2.
I agree with Giants 2.
Then maybe Rockies 3.
I agree with Rockies 3, and the other 2 is a coin flip.
I would go D-backs 4. And then when we get to the D-backs, I want to mention, because the D-backs were formed in 98. So for the purpose of this exercise, because I only had 22 guys on the roster when I made it, there was no backup catcher, and I was short 2 relievers. I found a catcher on the D-backs who had an OPS plus of around 100. And I found a couple relievers that had ERA pluses right around 100.
Okay.
So league average guys that I put on there to fill out the roster.
Sure.
But the D-backs, they've got Johnson and Schilling. I think they got Luis Gonzalez. So
yeah,
I don't know. I would put
Goldschmidt years.
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, D-backs, Padres. I know my Padres grade. They were one of the few Fs that I gave out.
Really?
And Chris Heilman was not. Who was my guest, my buddy, my good friend. He questioned that grade.
Okay.
So he told me he wants a full apology. If the simulation does not justify, that 5th place
I'm with
finish.
Chris. I hope you have to eat your words here, buddy.
So, we'll find out. I'll throw that out there now. Maybe later on we'll see. I think I want an apology, or I want to be credited with being correct if that holds true.
Okay.
So I'll throw that back out there.
Yeah, that's fair. So just to wrap, we went Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, D-backs, Padres.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we got.
Okay.
So
now we're in the AL East.
Well, let's get our wild card picks.
Oh, okay,
who we
cool.
Think. So we got Braves, Cards, Dodgers winning the divisions.
Sure.
Who do you think the wild card will be? I mean, so we got 2 of them.
Who of the second place teams? I think Phillies.
Yeah, I don't think it'll come out of the Central.
No, so I don't either. So I think just take the 2 second place teams, Phillies and Giants. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. We'll
right.
go Phillies, Giants. So then after we get through the AL, we'll circle back, make our predictions for the rest of the postseason.
Right.
But yeah, I think Phillies, Giants. So then we will get to the AL.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Terry, we just discussed our NL predictions. Let's get into our AL predictions. And again, we'll start in the East. What are your initial thoughts on the East? I think we got something interesting here at the top. I'll let you start it off. What do you think?
So AL East, it probably comes down to who are you going to select between the Yankees and Red Sox.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they both obviously had a lot of success. The Yankees had, I think the truest form of a dynasty in this time frame. They won, 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And then they also won in 2009. Yeah. Several pennants.
Then kind of quiet, though. From about 2004, 2005 on, it's been kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm. Although they've been in the postseason a lot.
Yeah. Quiet for the Yankees is a relative term.
And then the Red Sox, they won it, in 2004, 2007, 13, and 18?
Yeah.
So they've got, quite a bit of talent there as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Jays had a moment. The Orioles had a moment.
Right.
And then the Rays
had popped up twice. But one of them's outside of our simulation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, the Red Sox and the Yankees clearly at the top in terms of the talent on their roster.
Right.
And I mean, both rosters received A grades in my grading. Do you wanna throw your? What do you think first?
I think the Red Sox are going to win this division.
I think too, and it's. Do you have a reason? Because I have a reason.
I feel like they're going to have better pitching than the Yankees. Was that your reason or something
exactly.
like? Okay.
I mean, yeah, the Yankees may have better offense. I mean, they've got.
Yeah, A-Rod and
Cano, Giambi, Jeter, Bernie
it's ridiculous.
Williams. So,
yeah, right.
But
a good Aaron Judge.
And I mean, they've got good pitching. Like Pettit was good.
Sure.
Mussina's
a stud.
Yeah, CC.
Clemens.
Clemens was not on the roster surprisingly, but they got Mariano.
Sure.
John Wetland.
Yeah,
so
a
they've
couple
got some
guys
guys
set up.
But the Red Sox have Clemens.
Right.
When he was good, Pedro,
right,
dominant. 99, 2000.
Best
Pedro.
we've ever seen. Yeah.
Derek Lowe, Schilling. Chris Sale, so then Papelbon at the back end of the pen.
Right.
They've got Manny.
Manny and Ortiz. Yeah.
Nomar.
Right.
Beltre.
Pedroia won an MVP.
Mm-hmm. So.
Mookie.
Yeah.
Right.
Veritek, captain there leading the way. So
it's a coin flip. They're both good, but I'm going to give the Red Sox the edge because of the pitching.
Red Sox 1, Yankees 2.
Yeah.
And then 3.
Well, I know the Orioles had a moment, but I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of between the Rays and the Blue Jays to me, I think.
You think so? Well, don't forget the Rays were terrible for several years.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the Rays follow that same kind of same predicament we got with the Diamondbacks, where I had a few kind of league average guys that I used to fill out the roster. So, yeah, to me, the Rays are the 5th. That's an easy.
Yeah, because I'm forgetting how bad they were for a while.
Yeah,
this counts the Devil Rays too.
I think you got recency bias.
I do.
Because they do have Longoria was good. Carl Crawford was good for them, and Cashmere, Shields, Price.
Right.
So they've got some guys, but not
No, you're right. So then. You're right. So the Rays are 5th. You've convinced me. Yeah. I'm total recency bias on that.
And the Blue Jays got one of the top pitchers in all of this. Clemens, peak
that's right.
physical specimen Clemens.
When he got pissed off at the Red Sox and
Yeah, Don, he was worth 12 wins that year in 97. So, you also got Halladay.
Right. Chris Carpenter.
He wasn't on the roster.
Okay.
But, you got Josh Donaldson, Delgado.
True.
Joey Bats.
True.
Sean Green.
Right.
Whereas the Orioles, you've got... you got Brady Anderson, Tejada, Albert Bell.
Yeah.
Machado.
I'm thinking of that 97 Orioles team. Yeah, right.
96.
Palmeiras at first, right?
Yeah. 96 is when they got robbed by Jeffrey Mayer, right?
Yeah.
So I would give the nod to the Blue Jays. Okay. I'll go Blue Jays 3.
Orioles 4.
Orioles 4, Rays 5.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Okay.
I'm on board.
And then in the Central,
right?
I think in the Central, there's one team that's easy at the top.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was when I was putting these rosters together. Like I was really looking forward to that Indians team because like those '90s Indians.
Oh
teams,
my gosh.
I mean, you got Albert Bell.
Oh man, you got Albert Bell, you got Kenny Lofton, you got Manny Ramirez. That's your outfield, right?
Yeah, and Bell is 50-50 doubles home runs. Like only guy in history to go 50 doubles and 50 bombs. You got Frankie Lindor.
You got Travis Fryman at third. You got
Tomei, Alomar,
Baerga.
Before Robbie Alomar got cancel culture.
Yeah, right.
Jose Ramirez.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Jose Ramirez, Sandy Alomar Jr. maybe.
Yeah, Alomar and Victor Martinez behind the plate. Sizemore.
Brian Giles maybe.
He didn't make the roster.
Yeah, but he's good and he didn't make the roster, right?
You got Sabathia, Cliff Lee,
right.
Kluber, 3 Cy Young winners.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're clearly.
Yeah, that's a team. That's a squad.
So now, the question is, how does the rest of the division play out?
Well, I'm looking at the rest of these teams and I feel like this is a coin flip, man. Yeah. Like I'll go through. I'll talk out loud. I'll do 20 seconds on each, and then let's try to put this together. So off the top of my head,
before you go, my first kind of inclination is like based on like the WAR and the grade, almost is like Royals 2.
Royals 2. But
I'll let you give your spiel on each.
Yeah, I might have the Royals near the bottom, dude. My spiel is this, like White Sox, Frank Thomas,
right?
And like, what are we talking about? Joe Creedy, you know, like you know what I mean? Like the White Sox won in 05 with a good team with a pretty good pitching staff, and then they really haven't done a ton since. So I can't even think of that many guys that have had noteworthy years. I look at the Tigers, and I think
the White Sox, they do have Albert Bell on there on that team also. Okay. And he almost was 50-50 that year, 48 doubles, 49 bombs.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy's forgotten, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody likes him.
Right.
So I'm looking at the Tigers, and I'm thinking, well, you have Verlander and Scherzer, and you have Miggy, and
Prince Fielder
for a minute. And
Curtis Granderson
had a couple big years for them. You have
JD Martinez.
Right, exactly. And then, but ultimately, I think they probably fall short. I look at the Royals, and I think about the team that won in 2015 and the team in 2014 that took it to Game 7.
Right.
So you have that nucleus, but that's a team that I felt like where the sum was greater than the parts. Mm-hmm. And your buddy's WAR doesn't measure heart thing like that. That's who the Royals are, more than a team of stacked. Like I can think of like Beltran was there, Greinke was there. They had Jermaine Dye. They had like guys like that had big years and then left and became stars elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the Royals have the volume. Mm-hmm. And then that leaves me with my pick for second place, which is the Twins, because
they've been. Yeah, they got, Mauer and Morneau. Modern day M&M boys.
You get Torrey Hunter in center.
Right.
You get the monster Johan Santana years.
Right.
You get
Francisco Liriano.
Right. And just little bit part players here and there, but they've won a lot.
Knobloch was really good for him back in the mid-90s.
Yeah, the Twins have won often, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like every year I flip on in October and the Twins play the Yankees in the first round. Like, that's just book it,
and
right?
Get swept.
Right.
Sorry, Twins fans.
Yeah, they're going to love you in St. Paul, man.
Hopefully they love me in Minneapolis. So.
Yeah. So, I'm going...
I can see that.
Indians, Twins, Tigers, Royals, White Sox.
I think. So you go. Wait. So all right, I can go Twins second. You talked me off my Royals.
Okay.
You go Tigers 3.
Yeah, I'm flipping coins here.
I think I'm. Yeah, I mean, really, like Indians, I'm confident are winning.
Sure.
But after that, like the rest of the 4, I could see going almost any other way.
Yeah.
And they're all like non-factors.
Pretty much.
But so you go Tigers 3.
Yeah, I'll go Tigers 3 because I feel like they have some big like MVP and Cy Young type performers that are going to carry them to a high grade.
I think I'll go White Sox 3.
Okay.
Tigers 4.
Yeah.
And then Royals 5th.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right, so you talked me down from 2 to 5.
I will personally flip the Tigers and White Sox or whatever. Right.
Well, yeah, we're 3-4. We're both.
Oh, we were both on the. Okay.
Well, I think you had Tigers 3, White Sox 4. I'm going White Sox 3, Tigers 4.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry if I was confusing there.
Okay. Then that brings us to the AL West.
Right.
So, what are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, my initial thoughts are like, how long have the Astros been in the AL West?
Well, so yeah, regardless of how long they've been in here, they're here in this division. So even though in previous years, so they count.
So they count.
Yeah.
Well, they're interesting to me.
Well, they've had they were good in like the '90s, and then at the turn
Killer
of the century,
Bees, right?
Right, and then they were like awful for like a decade.
When they were tanking.
Yeah, and then they've been good recently.
Right. But then again, we just need to cherry pick the top performers of all of this. So.
Do they have Now, do they have enough?
Do they have enough volume? Because you're getting a Clemens and a Pettit from the early stuff,
right?
And then you're getting all the dudes from the recent team, the Bregman and the Correas and the Altuves and those guys like that. So that's an interesting team to me.
Right. You also got like the Randy Johnson from the '98 trade acquisition.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
So yeah, they've got some dudes.
But they're good.
But I'm gonna throw something out there.
Let's hear it.
That you would initially think of because it's a team that has not been in the postseason since 2001.
Rangers?
No. So the team that's got arguably greatest center fielder of all time, arguably
I see where you're going with
the greatest shortstop of all time. Arguably the greatest DH of all time.
Arguably the greatest left-hand starter of all time.
Exactly. And a Hall of Famer in right field.
Right.
The Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like they were...
A bunch of iconic players for the Seattle Mariners.
Right? And, I mean, even though they haven't been in the postseason in almost 20 years, which is like... I think it might be like the longest active streak in North American sports.
Wow.
But they've had a guy like be decent like each year, you know, like and you got peak like King Felix.
Right. And he was a deal.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
That was all the guys down the line with their yellow t-shirts on.
Yeah. Court. And then you got, Edwin Diaz, saved 50 games for them.
Yeah.
The pen isn't as deep as you would like. But, yeah, I mean, a lineup out there with Olerud getting on base, 40% of the time. Boone hitting almost 40 bombs.
That's right, blonde hair.
Beltre, A-Rod.
And Mike Cameron out in center after Griffey.
Actually,
off
so
the bench or something?
my bench outfielder, my fourth outfielder is actually Franklin Gutierrez, who, but great defender in his prime, and also managed to throw one good season.
Yeah,
worth 6.6 wins.
I'm putting Jay Buhner as my corner outfielder.
I wish I could get Buhner on the team, but he didn't fit in. But I do have Ichiro, so we've got Griffey Hall of Famer, Ichiro
Hall of Famer,
will be a Hall of Famer, Edgar Hall of Famer, A-Rod,
should be a Hall of Famer, right?
Beltre Hall of Famer, Randy Johnson, Hall of Famer. King Felix, you can make the discussion. His peak was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm going Mariners 1.
Okay. So then Mariners 1, Astros 2. Are we good with that?
Yeah, I think the highs of those teams like the Killer Bees and then the modern era does it for the Astros. You can kind of get by with their down times with Chris Carter and Will Harris and whoever we're pulling from the early 2010s.
Yeah.
So they managed Michael Bourne, Pudge Rodriguez throwing out half a WAR as a backup catcher. So, but even with those down parts, the Biggio, Bagwell, Clemens, Oswalt. It makes up for it. So yeah, I go Astros too. Okay. We're good there.
Now here's an interesting one for me: Oakland Athletics.
Right.
Because they've had a lot of team success.
Right.
But sometimes they've done it with scrap heap parts.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know, if you think about like the Moneyball A's, you have Hudson and Zito and those guys on the hill, Mulder.
Mm-hmm.
You have Giambi with monster seasons offensively. You get Johnny Damon center field. You get Tejada at short. You get
Tejada didn't make the roster, but Simeon had a great year.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
You know, you get McGuire. You get a McGuire year before he went to St. Louis,
that's right.
hitting 52 bombs.
Right.
You got Jason Kendall behind the dish.
Of course.
And you got Barry Zito, like you mentioned, Tim Hudson. You got Isringhausen at the back of the pen, Grant Balfour, Andrew Bailey, Houston Street. So, yeah.
Jermaine Dye in right field, perhaps?
No, I got Cespedes in right, actually.
Oh, that's right. Good.
So, you know, Josh Donaldson coming off the bench, Matt Chapman at third.
Right.
So, I mean, they're solid, but
it's a good third place team.
Yeah, you know, again, the West, I could see this kind of going various ways because we haven't mentioned the Rangers, haven't mentioned the Angels.
Yeah, the Rangers to me are a lot like, I forget who the team was that we mentioned in the National League, but like I saw you get your like Juan Gonzalez and your Pudge and your A-Rod and your all those guys years.
Yeah, Beltre,
but
Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, Josh Hamilton, but there's no pitching.
Right.
I don't even know they can name 10 starting pitchers for the Texas Rangers in the last, you know.
Darvish, Kenny Rogers.
Oh yeah, Kenny Rogers is permanently blocked out of my memory. You know?
Cole Hamels.
Oh my gosh! That's what I'm saying. The third guy you mentioned is Cole Hamels. He's a Philly. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting how would it go like this with this team?
Yeah.
Because they do have some offensive firepower, but as we saw when A-Rod played for the Rangers, that didn't necessarily work.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're gonna win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the Angels. I mean,
well, you've got Trout.
Well, yeah, you've got Trout, but as we see in real life, Trout can put up video game numbers, and that doesn't really matter. You've got, who has had great seasons for the Angels?
Well, Vladdy, Erstad.
Yeah.
Gloss, Teixeira.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, Salmon, I guess. These guys are nice players, but they're not moving the needle for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. To me, this doesn't stack up to that Mariners team you were ripping off, right?
Yeah.
And
so I think Mariners 1, Astros 2, and then you think Angels down at the bottom at 5?
Yeah.
So now it's kind of just Rangers, A's, 3, 4.
Yeah, and I got to give the A's the 3. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Mariner. You talked me into the Mariners thing, obviously, because at first was leaning Astros. I'm going to go Mariners, Astros, A's, Rangers, Angels.
Okay, I think I'm going to flip the Rangers and A's. So we're pretty close. Mariners, Astros, Rangers, A's, Angels.
Okay.
And then, so who are our wild card winners?
Well,
so we've got Red Sox,
Indians, Mariners. So therefore, the Yankees are one of the wild card winners. To me, that's an obvious one.
Right.
And now, who are the other 2 second place?
Twins, Astros.
Astros, I think I'll go with.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay.
All right. So we've got our playoff teams. Let's make our predictions for how we think the playoffs would play out. So in the National League, first we've got the wild card game between the Giants and the Phils. It's kind of a couple of our nemesis here.
Sure. Giants and Phils, if
it's tough because like who
who's starting and who's.
I mean, Giants is Bumgarner started the game, is Lincecum, but Philly's got Halladay.
Roy Halladay could no-hit you in a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Didn't he no-hit the Giants?
No, it was the Reds. Okay. I think the Giants got to him.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to go against my gut here and say Giants. Okay. Because I'm not even 100% sure the Phillies make it. That might be too cute of a pick by me. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think the 3-time champs, I think you got to give it to them in some sort of a simulation over this time rather than me. Because you know what I'm thinking of is like when you've got your bracket pick for college basketball and you try to make some upset pick or something happens and it just ruins your whole bracket. I went out on the limb with the Phillies thing, but it stops here. Giants win the
Okay. I can agree with that. Then in the American League, we've got Yankees, Astros.
Yankees,
right? Right. Yeah, I think in the simulation, there's no buzzers or anything. So.
Yeah, is Clemens starting against Clemens in that game?
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
Maybe. But yeah, I think Yankees take that one. So now, let's look at who do you think who wins? Who's got the best record in the NL?
Off the top of my head, it's going to be Dodgers or Braves, and I'm going to give it to the Braves with the Hall of Fame pitch.
Yeah, I think so too. Just because we can delay the potential Dodger Giant matchup. So we'll have the Giants matchup against the Braves, Dodgers Cards in the NLDS.
There we go.
So Braves Giants. Who you got there?
Braves Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Braves.
Yeah. It's got to be, right?
Still. Yeah.
And then Dodgers Cards.
How did the Dodgers win in that?
Right. I agree. And then in the American League Division Series, so we've got Red Sox, Indians, Mariners. Who do you think's got the best record? I think it comes out of the East again.
Yeah, Red Sox, right?
Yeah, Red Sox. So we got the Red Sox Yankees right out the gate.
Ooh, first round?
Yeah.
Can I mix it up? Yankees pop the Red Sox.
I could kind of see
in the playoffs.
Yeah. Which leaves us, Indians Mariners in the other matchup.
Okay.
I don't know. Who do you got in this one? I think Seattle does it.
Yeah, I think so too. There's too many individually talented players on that team.
Which gives us Mariners, Yankees in the ALCS, and then Dodgers, Braves in the NLCS. So over in the National League, Dodgers, Braves. We've seen this matchup a few times in this. Dodgers beat them in 2013, and then again in 2018. Both those were in the division series, and then in 2020 in the NLCS, Dodgers got them.
Right.
Who takes this one?
I think the Dodgers win this one.
I think so too. I think
it's pretty close.
Yeah, they've got enough pitching where it's competitive. It almost offsets the Braves, but the Dodgers, I think, have more offensive firepower.
Right. I would agree with that. I don't think the Braves run as deep. Again, the Braves teams that won, it was like we have Hall of Fame pitching and we have Chipper, but we have a lot of nice parts and pieces and kind of role-playing guys, and I don't know that pops in an on-paper simulation. So I think the Dodgers have lots of guys that had individually talented years.
Yeah. So, Dodgers over the Braves in the NLCS. Then we've got Mariners, Yankees, ALCS, which was a tremendous series in '95 in the division series. Yankees got them though in 2001 in the ALCS. That was post Griffey, because I know Griffey loves beating the Yankees. Griffey's on this team, but Yankees, Mariners. Who do you got?
I'm gonna take the Yankees in this. I for some reason I just think I'm thinking of all that dynastic team and that they would win this.
There's a reason why they won 5 World Series, right? So, so we get Yankees, Dodgers, and it's, so I think Fox is going to be happy with us.
No,
with this.
indeed.
sorry, Middle America, that it's, the two
coastal
behemoths,
the coastal elites.
But we're going Yankees Dodgers in the World Series. Who are you taking in this one?
For the sake of podcasting drama, I'm going to take the Yankees.
Okay, and I'll shock everybody and pick the Dodgers.
Right.
So there we have it. We don't even need to simulate it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much it's a done deal.
But so we've got our predictions on there. Listeners, if you want to chime in with your predictions, again, this is how my rosters are going to play out, not necessarily the best team, or your roster or whatever. This is my rosters that I've put into the program to simulate and play out, and we'll do it and we'll see how it goes out. And Terry, I've been, ever since I had this idea to simulate the games, I've been really looking forward to it because there's been so much discussion and kind of hypothesizing and stuff. So I'm excited to see how it will actually play out. Even though it is just a simulation, it's pretty much the best we can do. We're not suiting up these players and putting them out on the field. So I think it'll create some nice fodder for us.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to see kind of the randomness of it. What it spits out. Like if it tells me that 1999 Pedro Martinez is good, that's not necessarily interesting to me. I want to see kind of what happens that's random that I wouldn't have anticipated.
Right, and the randomness is something too that will come up because I think, like baseball prospectus and fan graphs and stuff, when they do their predictions and their simulations, this team's got a 90% playoff odds or whatever. It's
sure.
Like they run a million simulations, and then this a certain result occurs a certain percentage of the time. And
sure.
That's what this is just one simulation, so we could do it 1,000 times, and the one team winning the World Series occurs 60% of the time, but we're just doing one. So, and I don't have to tell you how fickle baseball can be.
I was going to say, even when they run it 1,000 times, whenever they pick the Mets to win the NL East, it never happens. So I believe in randomness when it comes to predictions.
Okay, so we've got our predictions here on paper, and I look forward to putting them to the test and see how it comes out. I think, we'll come back at the midway point. Terry, you want to come back next week and join me, and we'll look at the standings at the All-Star break?
Oh, I'd be glad to. That sounds like fun.
Okay, I look forward to that. But as for now, this is Billy Ballas of Box Seat Banter, signing off.